My daughters and I are big fans of the puzzle games by ThinkFun. Those games, well, similar to Rush Hour, you may know that one is their most famous game. Basically, these games have a single set of components, then each comes with a set of challenge cards. You will set up the game differently based on the challenge card that you're using, and then you try to solve the situation created by the challenge card, and the solution is on the back. So they're puzzles in that sense, but they cover a large range of different abilities, different ages. They go from beginner to expert. Say, my daughters are 6 and 8. I am 30, 12. So it's pretty much a difference there, but we can both play. They enjoy the easier challenges, and then the hardest ones, well, I play them by myself when they're in bed, because some of those can really be pretty devilish. They're single-player games, as it says here, but you don't have to play them alone. In fact, again, my daughters and I played them cooperatively as we all work together to rearrange the components to solve the challenge. In this video, I want to show you two of these games slash puzzles, Gravity Maze and Laser Maze, if nothing else because they had the maze idea in common, or in the title, because I don't know that they really qualify as mazes. Laser Maze is definitely the flashiest one, pun intended maybe, because it involves light. Of course, when my daughters hear about lasers, they were like, yeah, I'm gonna kill aliens, I'm gonna destroy stuff. When they realize the laser is light and doesn't necessarily work as a blade of a saber, that was a little disappointing. I guess that moment of set realization of what laser is comes for everybody. This is the board for Laser Maze. Here you have the challenges in this box here. And there is a card that tells you how to read the symbols on the challenge card. Basically, what happens here is that you will set up the challenge card by placing game pieces in the position and orientation indicated here. Then there will be another number of pieces that you have to place. If there is a question mark, it means that the orientation is unclear. And one of these pieces will shoot a laser, a ray of light, and the light will have to bounce around and to hit a number of targets. This in this card, for example, is the first one. Is just pretty much the tutorial shows you that you only have one target, and this one uses a purple piece. These purple pieces are like this. There you have a mirror on one side, and the back can be used as a target, like so. Again, as you can see, this is super simple. We place this one set up like this. This one goes here, and we have one blue piece to place, which has one mirror on each side. I wonder where it needs to go and which orientation. Ta-da! This is how we solve it. Again, it may seem simple to you, and it probably is. But for example, my daughters learned the way that rays of light bounce, because for some reason they were convinced that when the real light hit this one, it would go in this direction here. It took them quite a while to start thinking in terms of 90-degree angles. So that is neat. Now, a slightly more difficult one, there's nothing else, just to show you the different type of game pieces. So we have the blue, the purple, the yellow. All that it does is that the light has to go through. That is the requirement. Then we have, where is it? Where is the green one? The green one is tricky. As you can see, it's a see-through because it splits the light. The ray of light will both go straight and bounce. It splits it into two. And sometimes you have multiple targets that you need to hit, so you need to do precisely so. If, for example, we are taking this challenge, which again is super simple, then we know that there is a purple piece here, but we don't know the orientation. And then we need to add a blue, the red and a blue. And what can we do? Maybe we'll do like this. This one will place it like this, and as we change the orientation, we place the target side there. Victory! this is how laser maze works. Again, very simple, very flashy, but not gimmicky, because in fact, although you may think, oh, it's just kind of gimmicky, etc., etc., again, it is not that easy to solve. The puzzles are bona fide tough puzzles, of course. They are especially so when you get to the higher levels, and there is just the opportunity to talk about some concepts, a little bit about physics, a little bit about science, so with your children. I have daughters, and you know, since daughters, it's kind of harder, it becomes less natural, less normal. Our society tends to tell boys that science is good for them, and so any opportunity I have to get my daughters to think about science, but most important to get passionate about science, I'll take it and I'll be happy. Here we have another game. Well, I guess it allows you to explain gravity, but children follow the time, so they already know about that. That's a little less instructional for them. You have this board here and this set of really cool game pieces, these towers that have, well, different kind of platforms in them. Pretty much they will allow a metal marble to slide through in different directions, in different combinations. The principle is very similar to what you saw in Laser Maze, but this time we need to set up the board, again, according to our challenge card, and then we will need to drop a metal ball in a piece that on the challenge card is represented by a white dot. We drop it in there, and the ball has to go around until it enters the target piece, which is always this one. And in this game, orientation is very important, and so actually when you set it up, you need to look at the dots that are on the edges of the game pieces to make sure that you set it up correctly. Here, for example, we're looking for this side here that has two dots, and then one dot, and we place it right here. Then we look for the yellow piece, and we check again the orientation based on the dots. That is correct. And again, I wonder how this will work. And our task now is to add a purple and a gray piece. And I can see from here that remember, the marble will be dropped here on this card, so I can see that it will come out from there, and I know the target is here. So again, very simple. I stick the arrow towers, and in a way that it create a nice single slide that gets it there. Sometimes, from the point of view of production, sometimes it's kind of tricky to snap the towers in, and sometimes when the towers are adjacent, which of course they need to be because that ball doesn't fly, so because sometimes you're working with adjacent towers, you snap one in and the other one gets out of place, and you put it back and you dislodge another one in the process. But no biggie. And if you did your work right, if you solved the puzzle right, then when you drop the marble, ta-da, it will reach the target. Which again seems extremely simple, and it is in this tutorial, in the simplest challenge in the game, but some can be really tricky because, as you can imagine, when you're looking at these towers here that have a lot more levels, and you can probably imagine that in later puzzles, I don't think it's a spoiler, again, you can probably imagine that there will be challenges in which the ball enters from one tower, gets into the next, goes back in the previous one, and then starts moving around. Basically, it gets really tricky at more complex levels when the ball will go several times through the same towers. Then you really have to do some sequential thinking. Then you really have to see what the options are, where the ball is going to go next, but also which pieces are left, because, well, I get it very close to where I want to go, but the piece that I have is not good enough, so I'm trying to see alternatives. So there's a lot of different thinking to do. I would say this game is a little more advanced than Laser Maze. Although the physics behind it are much more intuitive, My teddy bear fell. Oh, we learned about gravity. The execution, or to say find the solution, is much tougher just because the kind of sequential thinking, of spatial thinking is required is a little more advanced. My 6 and 8-year-old daughters got stuck and reached challenges that they found too hard for them earlier in this game than they did with the other one, but they still enjoyed it because actually the payoff, seeing the ball go down, is climatic. It's really satisfactory for them. It is satisfying. More so, I would say, than the laser maze, in which you see the dot appearing on the targets, and that's fun. But hey, seeing the marble roll in these towers, hey, that is for a 6 or 8-year-old, that is something, that is an experience. In fact, then I kept playing and I would simply call them, hey, come and see this thing. And they were still happy to come and see the event, the solution happened when I did find it. Because again, at higher levels, this game can be pretty challenging. So this is Gravity Maze and Laser Maze. I like them very much. I like both. We're approaching the holidays. These are definitely good things that you want to consider to give to young friends, to young relatives, or not so young, because really these are entertaining, definitely for adults too. As I said, Laser Maze is a little more intuitive in terms of gameplay and solution. Gravity Maze requires more mental, you need to twist images around your head a little bit more, definitely more complex, a little more advanced, maybe for a slightly older child. Although again, the basic idea is as simple as Laser Maze, even more so. Solving the puzzles, at least personally, I found solving the puzzles for this one a little harder, and I also noticed that my daughters had a little bit of a harder time. But definitely two fun puzzles, and really two truly and intensely family games. There are so many family games or family puzzles that are describe the label as family, but in truth they're only for children or only for adults. Laser Maze and Gravity Maze and so many other products by ThinkFun are truly for families, because adults can play them and children can play them together or even by themselves in groups, adults only or children only, and they will still have a good time, and they will still have a good challenge. Laser Maze and Gravity Maze, both pretty good, different, but both fun.